Hello, Mr. Cunningham. Hello, Mr. Cunningham. Hello, Mr. Cunningham, can you hear us? Hello, Mr. Cunningham, can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear me, Brian?
Yes. Can you hear us? Can you hear me? Yes.
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Okay, great. So today we have a new batch of students, and they are the freshmen of this year. So you have these new faces today, and you see that we are seated further apart this time because of COVID-19, and we're keeping the social distance. So this is another kind of experience for us because before mid-May, everything was normal and we were doing things the way it was done. But then from May till September, the end of August, from mid-May till end of August, we were schooling from home, and students were taking all fully online classes, and teachers were also teaching from either their homes or going to school to connect with the whole class. But then finally, yay, on September 1st, we're all back. So we're all physically present here in school. So this is the room that you've seen before.
Oh yeah.
Except that everybody's seated further apart. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really neat. We're going almost the opposite way, I think. I'm streaming on Facebook Live too, so I'll record this on the second. But we went hybrid with about 90% of our kids until end of last year, and then this year we came back. But there's so many schools that are just being devastated. Schools shutting down. I think a neighboring school to ours has like 800 kids and teachers have COVID. Crazy, huh? Yeah, y'all take care of each other. That's important.
Okay, yeah. So you're also doing hybrid again, I guess.
Well, no, we're all virtual. I have, you know, you're gonna laugh at this. I think I have 40 something kids in each class, and so we don't even get to social distance that much. So yeah, I don't know.
You're doing fully online classes?
No, we're fully in person.
You're fully in person. How are you going to seat 40 kids apart?
You
have a
can't.
large classroom.
No, you can't. In fact, I got like two parts of the classroom. I have two classes of 40 and I have three classes in the 30s. Yeah, you cannot social distance like you guys are doing there.
So how are they going to be seated? Are they in the same classroom at the same time?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's and we got masks, you know, not as nice as your masks, but we got masks.
We have all kinds of different design, specially designed masks.
Ah, yeah, that looks really nice.
But we go creative in Taiwan to encourage everyone, to make the most of wearing masks, because like everyone else in the world, wearing masks is very uncomfortable. It's not that we think it's comfortable, it's also very uncomfortable. However, due to this pandemic, terrible situation, we still have to wear it. So we're trying to make the most out of it. We have different colorful design masks. Like, oh, you, huh? Brian, would you like to go to the front? Take a look at Brian's mask.
Yeah.
See, we have different colors. See, we have your,
All
even
right,
your
hey.
flag. We even have your flag on it.
Yeah, I know. That's good. Yeah.
So there
and-
are different kinds, different shades, different designs.
Yeah, it's called Taiwan war cat.
Oh, wow. Hey, I gotta watch what I say because we're on Facebook too, but you don't have any unnecessarily flyovers from your neighbors or anything lately, have you?
We're trying to stay safe and stay friendly.
Yeah, okay, good.
That's the correct, politically correct term, right?
Yeah,
Because everybody, we're live streaming on Facebook. So if you want, you can also tell your parents, they can watch us live on Facebook right now. Okay. Facebook, you can tell your parents. Okay. If you want to tell your parents, you can go get yourself and say, hey, watch me live on Facebook right now.
yeah.
So we're live streaming on Facebook. So Mike, Mr. Cunningham, are you also recording today's session? Because
Yeah.
a number of other schools are also wanting to watch later on.
Yeah, I'm going to record it in just a second whenever we start. I was kind of waiting for 6 o'clock, but I had like 17 schools said they're going to show up and we haven't anybody show up yet. So you know how that goes.
Would you like to, did you correct the link because you gave the wrong link on the,
I did?
yes, on the page that you place this red thing that you have behind you, and right on top is the wrong one. And the correct one is where I clicked into, I don't know which one, and then I saw the correct one. So you need to correct that. Otherwise, nobody's going to be able to get in.
Yeah, maybe that's, yeah, I was just having all kinds of problems. My wife's been in and out of the hospital. I have like 200 students at my school, and I have about 200 students I'm teaching online. It's been it's been very interesting so far. Okay, so let me try to make sure.
Go to that Facebook page where you posted the link and take a look, because that's the wrong one. Because good thing Brian also found that, to discover that yesterday, and he told me, and that's how I went around, searched around, and then found the correct link.
Okay, let me try to see if I can do that right now.
Go ahead, and you just do your thing, and I'll talk to my students.
Okay.
Okay. So 刚刚听到现在 Facebook 在 live streaming， 如果你想要让你老爸老妈知道，我现在在 Facebook live， 我们等一下可以扫一下这样的摄影机。Look at your kids， 今晚家在我手上，现在小孩在我手上 ，live，OK， 好，那个，因为我不知道你刚刚有没有听懂我跟老师对话，那很简单哦，理论上啊，不简单没关系，因为第一次刚刚讲过，就是 yes，go ahead。
你在说很多形式口罩。
对，我会讲很多平常，或者我们台湾苦中作乐的。既然都要戴口罩，那不如戴漂亮一点的嘛，各种设计款。然后，刚刚那个 Mr. Cunningham， 就是他贴的脸，他之前他会这样子常常公告的各个国家，他公告出来链接是抽，可能复制贴上的时候贴到之前的链接，所以是空的，所以很多国家在进步。但是因为我那个林老师发现那个好像是空的，然后点击说是空的，我就赶快搜寻一下，然后后来我就有搜到，就我们进来，其他都进不来。
比较令人难过的是，以前他不然还会连上来，现在应该，
现在的 live stream 不能讲话，不能讲坏话。
因为现在应该永远连不上来。
现在是 Facebook live stream 嘛，之后还会留下记录，因为 Facebook 不是还会录好，然后自己来弄上去。
阿里端应该不会出差。
好来，好，那现在如果讲肯德基爷爷，他应该不会害怕，来，应该不会生气。就是同学历届学长姐的时候，他是肯德基爷爷的，很 nice 的肯德基爷爷这样。就你问他什么，他都愿意讲，而且他非常耐心。然后你讲不好，他就再听一次，然后再问，再澄清，他就会帮你解答问。然后他们在哪里？Mr. Cunningham is， 我要讲一些英文，不然他听不懂，因为我们在讲他坏话。Okay, so I'm going to tell them a little bit about Mr. Cunningham. He is a very, very nice teacher, and he has been teaching for 34 years. Am I correct?
No, 36.
Oh, 36 okay. 36 years. And he is teaching at a high school in Texas, USA. Texas, 德州, right? A very big state. And they do a lot of barbecuing over there. Texas, people in Texas like to barbecue. They barbecue all the time. Yeah. And they are, I think, 14 hours. We are 14 hours apart, I think. 他们应该比我们现在就是中午就要落后还是提前？就是
Yeah.
他们现在是 you're
What
like morning, right? 6 o'clock in the morning right now, right?
6 o'clock in the morning. What time are you?
We're we're 13 hours apart now. So we're
Yeah.
7, 10 past 7, almost 10 past 7. So we're 13 hours apart right now, but in winter we're 14 hours apart.
Right.
Yeah, right. And it's very so. See, I was saying he was so nice. Mr. Cunningham is very nice because he gets up so early in the morning just to be with us, right? It's
Yeah.
like you
And
get up 4 or 5 in the morning and then be connected to us by 6.
yeah, today's a holiday for our school, so we're not here because it's Labor Day, but so I'm
Labor
at
Day.
home. So yeah, it's Labor Day today. So
Labor Day in USA.
yeah, it's Labor Day in the USA. So used to be everybody would start school the day after Labor Day, but now most of us all start school like 2-3 weeks ago. So this is our first big holiday. But let's go ahead and start. And I'll start recording it. And I sent each one of those people, individuals, a message that said they're going to come. So hopefully we'll get joined here in a second.
So as I was saying, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
As I was saying, we are all prepared to do 3 presentations.
Mhm.
And the first presentation is about food. So we have 3 presentations from Taiwan. And the first presentation is about bread and sandwiches in Taiwan. The second one, we will talk about the COVID impact in Taiwan. And the third team will present on the Sustainable Development Goals pertaining to 11 and 12. And they will talk about sustainable cities, sustainable communities, and also responsible consumption and production. Okay, so without further delay, we will begin today's first presentation.
We have some technical problem. Mr. Cunningham should open the.
Okay,
Oh,
so
yeah.
can you grant us the sharing?
Yes. Can you see us share the screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Hello everyone, we are students from Vaccinated High School of Chongqing University. I'm Lisa.
I'm Eric.
I'm Peggy. I'm Hannah. Today I'm going to introduce a Taiwanese traditional food, soutao. How in Chinese means peach. And just like its name, soutao has the appearance of a peach. There are many flavors in soutao, such as green bean, red bean, sesame, peanut, taro, and many other flavors. Aside from these rich flavors, there are also salty savory ones like meat and vegetarian food. I like green bean and red bean the most, especially when eating precious things. The sweet smell and the soft crust is irresistible. Moreover, when you fry it, the taste is sweet but not crispy. I think soda is really an appetizing food. Next, I will tell you more about the sweetness of soda, particularly in special occasions.
Thank you, Lisa, for your introduction. Now, I'm going to introduce the meaning of soutao and the occasions when soutao is served. Soutao is made into the shape of a peach because people think peaches are fruits for gods. and eating peaches can help people live a long life. That is why many people give 寿桃 for elderly people as birthday gifts. In addition to giving 寿桃 at birthday banquets for the elders, many people also hang up a painting of an old man holding a big 寿桃 at home. The symbolic meaning of the painting is to wish the elders in the family good health and longevity. But when we are worshiping our ancestors, we don't use peaches or 寿桃 as offerings, because the sound 桃 is similar with 讨 in Chinese, which means begging for food or begging for money. That is why most people don't use peaches, don't use food associated with peaches as offering. Next, Peggy will tell us the traditional food, steamed sponge cake.
Thank you, Eric, for your introduction. The next traditional food I want to introduce is steamed sponge cake. In our custom, we usually use the food which is made of rice as offering to God. Accordingly, steamed sponge cake, which is made of rice, is usually served during the Lunar New Year. The steamed sponge cake is similar to the cake, but it tastes a little different from the cake that we usually eat. The ingredients of steamed sponge cake don't include egg, and it's made of rice. During the process, the steamed sponge cake will rise and the surface will spill into cracks. So the appearance of steamed sponge cake is much like a flower. The symbolic pronunciations of flowers has an auspicious meaning of prosperity in our culture. Therefore, steamed sponge cake is a symbolic traditional food for wishing people prosperity. Made of different ingredients, steamed sponge cake has different colors. It's usually red, brown, yellow. Steamed sponge cake is filled with the aroma of rice, and it tastes sweet. It's also a dessert that goes well with your afternoon tea. I personally think it tastes delicious and worth recommending. Next, Hannah will tell you more about the steamed sponge cake.
Thank you, Peggy. In Taiwan, the Hakka people call the cracks on the steamed sponge cake shell, which means smile. Xiao symbolizes that everything will go well in the coming year. In Taiwanese language, the pronunciation of steamed sponge cake is similar to prosperity due to its auspicious meaning. The steamed sponge cake is a common dish served during Lunar New Year. My family always eats steamed sponge cake during family reunion on the Lunar New Year. We enjoy the sweet taste and the rice flavor. I have liked it a lot since I was a kid. Sorry. Usually, we buy steamed sponge cake at traditional bakeries. Sometimes it is sold outside the temples, and we use it as offering. During Lunar New Year, some people made their own steamed sponge cake at home. Others buy it at traditional bakeries or supermarkets. That's all about our presentation. Thank you for attention. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, tell me about, but how do both of those taste, and what would the cost be if you bought it at a bakery? What do they taste like, and how much do they cost?
They taste sweet. And
Louder, and closer to the microphone.
they taste sweet. And how much it costs? I think
That's the like corn bread.
it tastes a little bit like cornbread.
Corn.
Mhm.
Corn.
Cornbread.
Eh.
It is more soft.
And if you're going to buy them, how much would it take? Okay, how many would a person eat at one time?
Probably one or two a person.
Okay.
Sometimes we eat it after meals, and sometimes we just eat it as snacks.
Okay. And Mary, how expensive are they?
How expensive is one? Do you know? It's the size of a cupcake, and how expensive is one? How much does one soupao, right, cost?
Usually $1 to $2 US.
$1 to $2. What about that?
Okay.
thing?
Yeah.
Both?
And where would this be in the bakery? It showed a real neat picture of a traditional bakery there. Where would these be Yeah, there you go. And where would these be located inside that bakery? I mean, it would be like a cupcake, or would it be like, I mean, that's what I don't understand.
Pineapple cake sometimes were inside, were sold inside, and some cake,
Okay.
cake were sold inside too.
The traditional bakeries?
Yes, in traditional bakers.
Okay. And then okay, how many of you families make these at home?
So do you make 寿桃 or 花桂吗？花桂 at home raise your hand， 在家里有自己做寿桃跟花桂的，好少哦，好少，1、2、3、4、5、6、7，那我们今天学7，好放下。That's 7 out of 54. Okay, right. So 7 out of 54 people
Wow.
make these at home, but usually there's a lot more. But nowadays people are resorting to convenience and buying them in stores, right?
Yeah. How long would it take to make? Is this what I was wondering?
Oh, how long does it take to make? How do you know how long your mom spends making these? Whole day? Half a day? Anybody? Yeah?
My grandma usually make huaguai around 2 hours or 3 hours due to the amount of the huaguai is, because if a family is about 15 people and traditional family, which is about 15 people in one Chinese local family, usually make a big pot of the huaguai. So it usually takes more time. So it's based on how many amounts you want to make. Yes.
So it's a family gathering, right?
Yeah. It's
A family gathering of about 15, because there aren't 15 people in your family, not that many, but it's a family reunion.
Right. And I guess that's when New Year, Chinese New Year's or Lunar New Year's is when a lot of families get together, and this is what you use for celebration.
Yeah, a lot of the family reunions occur during the Lunar New Year, like in the States, it occurs during Thanksgiving and Christmas, right?
Right. And how's COVID affected this in the last couple of years?
You mean the family reunions?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so because of the pandemic situation, how has it affected the family reunions? 家庭聚会是怎么样受影响 ？Anybody? Okay, 就是你的家庭聚会如何受影响 ？For example, no more, fewer or no more family trips. Yeah, go ahead, Hannah.
Yeah, fewer families gathering together, but I think last year and this year when during the New Year the pandemic wasn't that worse, so most of the families still gathered together.
But after mid-May, then there were regulations.
Right,
Do you remember the regulations? What are the regulations? 有什么规范？
Regulation.
Like the number of people being together indoors and the number of people for outdoor gathering. What was
Oh,
the number?
wow.
Remember? Yeah, do you remember?
5 people in one.
Oh, yeah. The strictest time, during this period, there were times when the strict restrictions were loosened, and there were times when the restrictions were tighter. The tightest restriction was when you could only have 5 persons in one enclosed space, like a classroom. So only
Wow.
5, yeah, only 5 within, in this classroom. And then outdoors is 10. Oh my goodness, you can only have 10. Like if you want to be outdoors or walking around, we can only have 10 people. That was the tightest.
And you cannot even eat outside.
And not even outdoors can you eat. You can only like go to an enclosed area with by yourself or within the number of 5 persons, and they have to be your family members or people that you just live with. Then you can enjoy your meal. So it was very strict, a few months ago.
Okay, now you may get to this later, but let's that nice picture of that bakery that you have there. Those bakeries are not very large. How many people could fit inside the bakery to buy any bakery goods? Did they have lines out and you had to be social distance for the little stores?
Inside, oh yeah, like bakery, because bakeries are not very big. Usually, not during the COVID-19. How many people can get inside a bakery? Approximately 大约面包店可以几个人挤进去？如果没有疫情的话。
16个人就
Okay, so maybe around 15 or 16 if there is no pandemic. But with pandemic, there can only be like it's 5, right? Yeah. So you can fit in 5 people, but without the amount, the number of people that you can have inside, actually crowd inside, is like 15 or 16.
Yeah, and that was during the good times. So I
Yeah.
imagine their business was pretty much devastated too, huh?
Yes, that is correct. So during the upper half of the year and before, everything was fine, but then with the pandemic, the virus spreading, then there were tighter regulations, and all of the enterprises, the stores, all the businesses are, everything is like very drastic and down, and people are also complaining about, trying to live their life.
Wow.
And we'll talk more about that in the second.
Yeah, I
piece.
know. I just trying to see when I saw that picture, I said, oh, those stores are not that large, and that really must take a big dent and since not that many people are making them at home and people still want to eat it. Well, how often would you eat one of these? Either one. I mean, is it daily, a weekly, or just special occasion?
About 2 to 3 we eat.
Is it are you going to say per week or every week or every month or what?
About we eat it about 2 to 3 months.
Every 2 to 3 months?
Okay.
Okay, because it's only on special occasions.
Right.
But they eat a lot of other kinds of bread, because we have all different kinds of breads in Taiwan. So there's a lot, to choose from, a large variety to choose from.
Now, here in Texas, a lot of people eat breakfast tacos, for breakfast. What would the average person in Taiwan eat from, let's say, that bakery if they were just going on the way to school or something? What would you grab to get if you're on the go to eat for a breakfast from there?
Understand the question? If you are on your way to school and you pass, by a bakery, you go inside, what kind of thing would you buy quickly for your breakfast? Anybody? If you don't know the English, you can say the Chinese. Yeah.
bread with snacks.
Oh, bread and ham sandwich, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and you? Sandwich, okay. So in general, sandwiches or ham sandwiches, those are popular choices for breakfast in Taiwan.
Now, I've seen like in Korean bakeries and some of the bakeries you have here, they cut the crusts off. Do they keep the crust on, or is it like a bread like you buy sandwich bread here in the States, or is it bread like more like maybe like a baguette or something like that? Is it like a roll bread?
Okay, let me explain that to them.
Okay,
那
good.
个
I'm sorry.
老师在问美国老师问说，那个像韩国他们都会把那个吐司的外面切掉嘛？那台湾会不会这样？是不是都会？对不对？Okay, huh? Yeah.
No idea.
You didn't? Okay. So, but in bakeries they do that, right? 如果变成三明治，他就会把它切掉，对。I think it's becoming an Asian thing. But if you're like different individual families, they will decide whether they want to cut off the crust. But in bakeries, they usually just cut off the crust in the sandwich. When they make the sandwich, they just automatically cut off the crust. And I don't know, it's an Asian thing, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't really even know. I thought, it was like square bread was really kind of fascinating, and you can buy it here in the States, and it's very popular, like in Korean markets and I guess Chinese markets too. We just have to have Korean market closer, but I didn't even know, so I just thought I'd ask. That was a very good presentation. You did a very good job.
Excellent. Now our second T will be about COVID-19 and its impact in Taiwan recently.
Yes, we are going to talk about the COVID-19 situation in Taiwan and how we handle the pandemic. Before we start talking about the recent situation of COVID-19, I'm going to show some past important COVID-19 related events in Taiwan. On December 31st, 2019, Taiwan Center Disease Control, CDC, learned about people getting unknown pneumonia in Wuhan, China. And the health official quickly confirmed the fact and alerted the WHO through email. On June 7, 2020, CDC classified COVID-19 as a notifiable infectious disease. On June 20, Taiwan Central Epidemic Command Center, CECC, was set up. On June 21st, the first case of COVID-19 was confirmed. On June 26th, the government established a national face mask team and increased the production line to make more masks. On February 6th, in order to make sure that every person has face mask for protection, the government carried out a mask rationing plan. On July 15th, the government distributed stimulus voucher worth $3,000 to boost the domestic economy. On March 5, 2021, the first batch of AstraZeneca vaccines arrived in Taiwan. On April 6, the people received vaccines according to the degree of infection risk. Frontline workers began getting vaccinated. On May 19, the government increased alert level because COVID-19 suddenly spread on a large scale in the community, and it lasted until July 26. On May 28, the first batch of Moderna vaccines arrived in Taiwan. On June 4, Taiwan received vaccines donated by Japan. On June 20, Taiwan received vaccines donated by the USA. By August 3rd, 8,400,000 people were vaccinated, and the percentage of and the percentage for 34% of entire population. These are all important events regarding COVID-19 impact in Taiwan during 2019 to 2021. Next, Howard will talk about international health.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Next, I'm going to talk about Taiwan can help and how Taiwan get a donation of the vaccines from international. Then we start with the Taiwan can help. In April 2020, based on the international humanitarian assistance, Taiwan has carried out a policy called Taiwan can help, which made Taiwan's government has donated over 51 million masks along with other medical equipment to the hardest hit countries, including the countries in the Europe, America, and so on. And then Taiwan also provides our technology, supply making equipment, and know-how for other countries who is the hardest hit countries. Next, let's talk about the Taiwan has receiving vaccine donation from every countries. Since June 2021, many countries began to donate vaccines to Taiwan, including Japan, with 3.34 million AstraZeneca vaccines, 2.5 million Moderna vaccines from the USA, 20,000 AstraZeneca vaccines from Indonesia, 10,000 AstraZeneca vaccines from Slovakia, 30,000 Moderna vaccines from Czech Republic, and recently, the 400,000 AstraZeneca vaccines from Poland. It's not only help Taiwan control our local pandemic, but also show our tight relationship with these countries. Next, June will tell more about the Taiwan's vaccination.
Taiwan's people started to get vaccinated after receiving the vaccines donation by other countries. In Taiwan, most people choose AstraZeneca and Moderna. According to the data from Taiwan Center Disease Control, our vaccinated rate was 34% in August. Our goal is to reach 60% in October. Besides the donation from other countries, enterprises in Taiwan also help buy vaccines. For example, the ex-CEO of Foxconn Technology Group, Terry Guo, and the CEO of TSMC, Mori Zhang, buy 100 million BNT vaccines from Germany. And there has been 10 million BNT vaccines available in Taiwan in September. Besides buying vaccines from other countries, we also produce our own vaccines. Take MVC COVID-19 vaccines, for example. It has already passed the EUA test. Taiwan finally has our own vaccines. Next, I'm going to ask you some questions. First, what is the vaccinated rate in your country?
Boy, that is a good one. We're in Texas, in our state, I think we're running a little around 50%. Now, in some demographics, we're a little bit higher. In the United States, it just depends on state to state, because some states are a little bit lower and some states are running between 60 and 70%. So I would say somewhere between 50 and 60%. It would be the vaccination rate. Now, I ask you a quick question. We are able to get vaccinations for our students aged 12 to 18. Do you guys provide vaccinations for people your age right now or no?
Yes.
Oh, good.
So, when are you gonna get back? When are you gonna get vaccinated? I think there was a timeline.
September 23rd. September 23rd. The Taiwanese senior high school student will from September 23rd. The BNT vaccines from Germany will come to Taiwan, and it has already come to Taiwan. And from that date on, Senior high school students will start getting the BNT vaccines. Yes, it's about Taiwanese students. Yes.
So in Taiwan, we go from the oldest down and work our way down.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the situation in the States? Because Taiwan, you go from the oldest people. So if you're like 90 or 100, then you get vaccinated first, and then slowly we work our way down to the younger kids.
Yeah, I think that's what's happened here in the States. We don't have any AstraZeneca, but we did have Johnson & Johnson and the Moderna and the Pfizer. And right now, Pfizer has been approved for ages 12 to 18, and they started their shots, I think, in May. And our school is cooperating, and about every weekend, we have a clinic that parents can bring their kids to come to the clinic and get the shots.
And you have a second question?
Have you ever get vaccinated? If yes, could you share your own experience? Maybe like how do you feel after you get vaccinated, or anything you want to share?
Oh yeah, I'll be glad to share. My wife and I did some research, and we took the Johnson & Johnson shot, and we were able to get it here before they took it off the market for some blood clot problems and stuff for a while. It was that one shot deal like AstraZeneca. Both my wife and I didn't really feel, we felt kind of drowsy, but we didn't feel, not drowsy, but kind of weird for a little bit, but we didn't really have too many side effects. Now my daughter, I have triplet daughters and they're adults now, but one of the daughters took just one shot of Pfizer and she ended up getting COVID. And then, so she never has taken the second shot of Pfizer. And we had a case where the lady that does my wife's hair and cuts my hair too, her husband was supposed to take the shot on a Monday, and he contracts COVID and was in the hospital for like 3 weeks and had to go to rehabilitation. And he never, and now he doesn't get to have it. Okay, the day before or 2 days before he was going to get a shot, he ended up contracting COVID, and he was in the hospital for around 2 or 3 weeks, and he's in rehabilitation. And then there's another case that I know of where some people were didn't want to take a shot because they thought that the side effects were so bad, and he spent 2 weeks in the hospital. So we have a large amount of people. I think the side effects are kind of minor compared to staying in the hospital. That's really bad under ventilator and stuff. Yeah, I think that when we talked to the lady, the hardest thing for some of them when they mix those 2-shot ones is that it takes a while to prepare the shots. And you have to do it at certain temperatures and stuff. So that could be a problem for some people, but Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca can be done at room temperature. How did you have any experience? Oh, you hadn't had your shots yet. Mary, would you like to share your experience? And then I think Adrian's on here too from South Africa. He might
Yeah,
tell
we'd
you.
like to hear from Adrian later on. A quick sharing from my side. Brian and I got the AstraZeneca shots, and we did just fine. I mean, I don't know, is that good or bad? Because we got the shots and practically no symptom at all.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good or bad. This should be good. And then the only thing that happened was I got a sunstroke on the 3rd day, but that's not related to the vaccines. But if you do get a sunstroke, or if you get come down with a cold, then the symptoms actually really show up, and you have bad symptoms. So for example, if you vomit when you get a sunstroke, then you vomit even more seriously. But that's about it, because I got mine when it was pretty hot in Taiwan, and so on the 3rd day I got the sunstroke. So I think that's not directly related to the vaccine, except that the vaccine actually brings out more of the symptom from that particular sunstroke, if you know what I mean, the heat stroke.
Oh yeah. But you know, I think what ends up doing it, I've heard people that, because we have a lot of people that contracted COVID after the shots, but their experience of having COVID is much more mild than the people that never had the shot. So you know, if anybody's going to err, I'd say I'd err on the chance of getting the shot than I would getting the COVID without the shot.
Oh, so if I hear you correctly, you're saying that if someone gets the COVID after being vaccinated, then the symptoms are milder, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, got that.
Yeah, I mean, I've known, like in our church community and some people I know, I've known quite a few people that, you know, have even, and my sister has passed from COVID, but I've known several people that have gotten COVID after the shot, and it was much more mild. And some of this other stuff is very, very, I mean, it really, within a day or so, they're going to the hospital and difficulty breathing and everything else.
Thank you for that information. That's very helpful because we would need to, you know, people would need more information.
Yeah, you know, at first people I think were really afraid of the side effects of the shot, but now I think the side effects of the COVID is much greater than the side effects of the shot. Although I have a couple students in my class last week that got their second shot, you know, a month later, their second shot. And oh my gosh, they were very listless and tired and couldn't keep their head up for that day, you know, whatever. And then the next day they just back to normal. So, you know, it's you just don't know how it impacts you. It's an individual deal.
So when you look at your students, you mean that the young kids, the teenagers recover real quickly from the side effects, right, of the vaccine?
Yeah, the ones I had in class, they're telling me, because some of them took it, well, about a month or so ago, I guess they wanted to get the shot before school started. And then they got their second shot, and then they took it at school. So anyways, one of the girls, I had her last year and I have her again this year. And she was saying, I just don't feel really good, you know, all this kind of stuff. And then she said, well, it's all because of my shot. And then the next day she was fine. So the temporary side effects are mild compared to the potential of you know, I've seen a lot. This is really strange, Mary. I've seen a lot of people that end up going into rehabilitation after being on a ventilator and stuff for a long time. And it's really scary. I mean, I don't know if I'd really want to face not having vaccination. And we still have a lot of people who just don't like being vaccinated. You know, that's why we might never get to 100%. They were saying herd immunity was like 75% or something. And here in our community, I think we're pushing in the 60s. But I don't know if they ever get higher than that, because there's a lot of people that just swear that they don't believe it, or they don't want to do it, or whatever. But you got to do what's best for you.
Yeah, I see from the news that a lot of people regret it afterwards when they actually got the COVID, and it's really, really bad, and they're in their dying bed, their sick bed, like you said, with the ventilators and everything, and they really, really regret it, right?
Yeah, I think, you know, that's why I don't say it's a vaccine. Normally to me would be something that would stop you from getting it, but this is more of a shot to help you out to actually live through the experience. You know, I don't see how you could do it. And some people still live, but their quality of life is really, you know, it's really changed. They're on oxygen. They have to learn how to rewalk and everything. You know, this is crazy.
Do we still have Mr. Myers on?
I thought, let me see. No, he bumped off, I guess.
Then we'll continue with our second part.
Okay, go continue.
Okay. On May 19th, 2021, our government announced a nationwide level 3 alert for COVID-19. It remained level 3 for 2 months. The pandemic in Taiwan has been controlled, but it still affects lots of industries in Taiwan. Because most people decide to stay at home to avoid getting COVID-19. The food and restaurant industries can only resort to providing takeout service. Even now, the restrictions have loosened. Few people decide to eat in restaurants. However, the delivery industry in Taiwan have sprung up, and the performance has increased. But it also causes some problems like the delivery staff being overworked and the pandemic garbage boom. To reduce the economic impact from COVID-19, our government implemented an economic relief package to help many companies and workers in a number of industries. Under nationwide COVID-19 level 3 alerts for COVID-19, people entering public places require ID-based registration by scanning QR codes and sending the message to 1922, which is a service line of Center of Disease Control. And next, you will talk about home-based epidemic prevention.
Okay. In order to prevent the spread of COVID-19, our government raised people's awareness and promoted some policies and regulations in response to the level of seriousness. The counties and some counties and city governments closed down the market, while others control the flow of people and prevent crowding. People have learned to develop different lifestyles under the home-based epidemic prevention policies. Some companies and organizations have begun to implement work from home, especially the educational institutions. After Taiwan issued a nationwide level 3 alert of COVID-19, all schools in Taiwan, K through 12 and higher education, switched to online classes starting May 19th. In addition to schools, children's after schools, care service centers, Korean schools, and other educational institutions were affected. In response to the online teaching, other institutions also provide some free online education resources. Here are a few examples. Taiwan's National Library provides online ebook borrowing, and Taiwan's National Museum of Science Education offers podcasts and YouTube programs that provide scientific knowledge. Thank you for your attention. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, could you go back to the gentleman looking at that QR code? Yeah, okay, now, do you have to send in, before you go into the store, would you have to send in your ID so they know who you were?
This is a very, very smart invention. And would you tell us, have you ever done this yourself? Yeah, okay, so explain how it's done. It's so convenient, you cannot believe it. When you go to the store, what do?
Before we get into the store, we need to use our phone, scan the QR code, and it will send a message to the 1922, and the government will know who will know this phone's user have been to these places, and government will know who is the owner of this phone number.
Yeah, and where you are. Yeah, okay, yeah, so yeah, you'll show that later on. But first of all, like Joy said, it's so easy because on each, at each store, they will post that QR code, and then you just take out your phone, scan it, and press confirm, and out goes the information, and the center will receive the information of who you are and where you are. So that makes it easy to track your whereabouts. And maybe you're wondering, why do you want the government to track your whereabouts? It's because that if someone gets COVID-19, someone around your neighborhood, then they would automatically be able to know who has been to the places where that person has been, who has been, maybe dining with that person or just passing by that person, and they will immediately notify you to get screened and get tested. And that's how we got, the control of people contracting this disease down, because people are actually very cooperative in this matter, because we want to know who's getting sick and we want to know immediately if we should get tested or not. I don't know if that answers the question.
So, I mean, if you don't have this, you would have no idea then, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And then you would be in the dark, and then you would delay the, medical help that you would get. What does it say?
Now, Mary, how many other countries do this?
China.
China? No.
他们
有吗？中国有。
Wow.
Mr. Cunningham, you can
Yeah.
see on the screen that we have already shared my phone screen is about this message. And maybe you cannot see very clearly that every space have their own numbers. Like this space is 2099, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's have many numbers. It's actually not only the stores, but everywhere. Every public spaces almost has this QR code, including buses. So when in the morning, I take the bus to school, and after I get on the school bus, not school bus, public transportation bus, and I need to scan the QR code on the bus and send it to 1922. So it's not only for the stores, like convenience stores, but also including like a library, schools, or everywhere.
Wow.
In the situation recently in Taiwan, almost everywhere has this QR code, and it really makes Taiwanese governments control the COVID-19 situation. Yes.
Yeah, I could see where that could be really helpful for, especially for a pandemic. I can also see where it could be utilized to by a government to really keep track of you really well.
Yeah, it really helps to round all those who are infected by that particular person. You could quickly round up those who might get infected, quickly notify them to get tested, and they could really just find out whether you actually got it or not from being near or even like right next to that person.
Now, do they track you with that to tell if you're vaccinated or not?
We have a health insurance card that tells you whether you are vaccinated or not, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
really? So you have like
That's the
a
National Health
vaccination
Insurance
passport?
Yep.
And
we also have that card thing.
yeah. So do you have to show that when you go into public
Also have
places?
a vaccinated passport.
Yeah. And so, you can show that when you're going abroad.
Wow. Well, y'all do everything. This is really fascinating.
I know. We're fascinated ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah, because we don't do that in the States. I mean, you don't know, even in school now, when we were in school, and I don't know if they still do it, but they had thermal imaging. So all the students had to go through a thermal imager to see what the temperatures were. And if their temperature was too high, then they would be sent home and not be able to allow to school. So each door had a temperature, and then every teacher had to fill out a deal on a computer beforehand before they went to work.
We also do that too, and the school has the students even take the temperature before they enter school and after they enter school. It's like twice or sometimes even 3 times a day.
Wow.
Twice is the requirement, right? 2 times. Yeah.
Wow, that is, you feel a lot more protected, I would assume.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the next.
I'm sorry, I was just fascinated. This is
I know. we're fascinated ourselves.
Yeah, but it's late over there. So I know you want to get home.
Yeah, so we're on our last team, and the last team will present on Sustainable Development Goals 11 and 12. And I don't know if you know Miss Gertrude Noden from New York, USA. She's helping a lot of schools around the world to implement this hands-on project. And we're trying to get that going this semester. It's really neat because she actually customizes the project to each school according to their setting. So like in Uganda, they can learn to grow their own kind of vegetables, and then also learn about financial literacy afterwards, because they learn to sell those vegetables, those produces, and then make money for their family, which is much, who are much in need. So it's quite fascinating, and we were going to figure out how to do that in Taiwan, because in Taiwan we cannot just go around and grow anything anywhere we like.
Right. No land.
Go ahead. Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
Hello, everyone. We are the students from Affiliated High School of Zhongxin University. I'm Amelia. I'm Sammy. I'm me. We will talk about the achieving of SDGs 11 and 12 in Taiwan. Let's begin from SDG 11. Sustainable cities and communities. In response to mountain road safety and socio-economic change, mountain road service has gradually been transformed from promoting agricultural transportation and agricultural development in mountainous areas to transporting people into mountain forests for leisure activities. Therefore, the mountain road improvement and maintenance now include a safe and convenient transport function, and to create a comfortable, pleasant open space, and enhancing the overall quality of the mountain road to promote high quality environment. For example, in the management of mountain road, there is additional annual budget for road pavement, load, and related facilities to upgrade and beautify the general maintenance and to promote emergency disaster relief. To enhance the recreational value of scenic areas that mountain road pass through. Plants are dropped up to improve mountain roads, and local characteristics are integrated into road-related designs to enhance the overall recreational quality of mountain roads. Now, how are cultural assets protected? It is done by setting up a special authority unit to handle the restoration and operation of cultural assets and to promote the cultural movement of all houses. Next, Sammy will talk more about the achieving of SDG 11. Thank you, Amelia. The concept of green infrastructure has become more and more receptive in recent years in contrast to industrial buildings. What is the meaning of green infrastructure? Green infrastructure refers to ecological-based facilities rather than emphasizing landscaping and entertainment. Green infrastructure is more focused on improving ecological diversity and reducing air pollution. For example, the establishment of natural reserves, green corridors, and also ways to reduce air pollution and dispose of waste. Taiwan has also begun promoting sustainable cities, such as promoting the plan of Fresh Air 2.0 in Taipei, which reduced the average of PM 2.5 concentration to 14.6 per cubic meter in 2018, meeting the national standards for the first time. They are also pushing for the neighborhood transport improvement programs, introducing the electric buses and barrier-free taxis for people with disabilities to provide a safe, convenient, and affordable green transport system. However, there are still many difficulties to be resolved, such as communication between agencies, as well as strengthening the infrastructure piping system and reducing the urban-rural gap issue. In addition to preserving and rendering in with natural environments, sustainable city also needs to be able to withstand natural disasters. For example, instead of constantly elevating riverbanks to avoid flooding, we should strengthen the disaster recovery so that cities can quickly continue to function. And aside from government's intervention, what can people do to achieve sustainable cities? In our daily life, we can help reduce air pollution and carbon emissions by reducing the amount of waste we produce and choose public transport. We can actively participate in public hearings and try contributing the planning of government policies and monitor the government. We should choose the environmentally friendly products so as to gradually achieve the sustainable cities. Next, Ian will talk about SDG 12.
Thank you, Sammy. After hearing about SDG 11, we will talk about SDG 12, responsible consumption and production. I will talk about successful outcomes from government interventions. First, in 2002, Taiwan's government banned around 20,000 shops from providing free plastic bags to customers. If customers need plastic bags, they had to pay for them. This policy greatly reduced the number of plastic bags that were used. Because these merchants follow this policy, the plastic bag consumption decreased an average of 2 billion in each year from 2002 to 2017. And next, in the 2018 FIFA World Cup, most teams wore recycled jerseys, which were made by Taiwan's companies. And the recycled jerseys mainly made from recycled yarn. The recycled yarn is extracted from the plastic bottle used in our daily life. The plastic bottles originally polluted the nature, but through such remarkable creative invention, the plastic bottles are reused, which greatly reduce environmental pollution. Finally, such intervention and measures create a sustainable consumption cycle. And we have a question. Are there any policy to achieve SDG 12 in your country?
Are there any policies for what?
To achieve SDG 12 in your country?
Which is responsible consumption and production.
Yeah. In our country, there's quite a few instituted. In fact, I guess they're going through the United Nations and trying to help people be more aware. And they're trying in our country to pass that Green New Deal and the infrastructure, which will help out some people to be more sustainable in the future. I guess the biggest thing or the goal for those people would be is that they would like to have a future in which they feel like they could be sustainable, and our current situation doesn't appear to be too sustainable. In many parts of our country, we have more cattle than we have people. Cattle takes an inordinate amount of food. It seems kind of weird to grow most of your corn and then feed it to the animal and then slaughter the animal and then eat the animal and then just eat the corn itself. So yeah, it would make some sense to be able to do something like this. I was reading a deal before here. I think 86% of the average Americans in a couple of years will either be obese or pre-diabetic. So that would not be sustainable either. So a change of food would be really good. And some of the stuff they're talking about in cities, that would make a lot of sense. We're facing a large water issue where we're at in Texas. This last summer, we had a cool summer and we're still kind of water short. But as our population grows, we don't have enough water for people. So our prices for water has gone way up. So sustainability is very, very important for us locally and nationally as well.
Wow, we didn't know that you had such water problems in Texas. I mean, it's
Oh yeah. Texas is a huge state. If you look at it, the eastern part of Texas is very green. We're on the border area, not the border of the country, but we're on the border between dry and wet. And Austin will get maybe 30 inches of rain a year. And that would be an average. So some years we get 60 and some years we get 10 or 15. Well, in 1960, I believe the population of Austin was around 200,000. And today we're pushing almost, between 2.5, 3 million. And much of our water supply is with aquifer, which is underground water. Well, the idea would be is that the aquifer, when you have that many people, the water is used faster than it could be redistributed. So if we don't get a lot of rains, water is a real precious commodity. In the suburb where I live in, down here, water is a very high commodity, and then many of them will have municipal water districts where they charge extra money for water. So you have a surcharge on your water, so to try to conserve water. So yeah, it's going to be a very sustainable deal. Austin, San Antonio, even Dallas, Fort Worth area, I would assume that eventually, water, when you start getting 7-8 million people into a city, and water is a problem, fresh water is going to be a very big problem.
Wow, we are going to be doing this clean water, I think it's Sustainable Goal Development 6 with an Australian school pretty soon. And they're focusing on that. Yeah.
Mary, I was going to tell you, I have flip grids for all these. And if you want to convert your PowerPoint or even put it up like you do in there, you can put it on your flip grid. And each one, we have one for each of the sustainable products. I'll go ahead and send it to you because we're doing under that British schools.
I'm gonna have to really get into Flipgrid soon because I still haven't got to working my way around, operating that yet.
Well, all you do is you upload what you just did there, and then you would put in for number 11 and number 12. So then other schools could see it too, or you could actually. You just go to it and you can film this whole presentation, but it's easier when you're going to use PowerPoints to go ahead and do it that way. And then it would be asynchronous to where it would, people could view it at any time and they could make comments and stuff like this. So you could get some really good ideas and then you could ask questions and then they would give comments back to you and send you little messages. So it makes perfect sense for, we could get Kakistan, we could get Uzbekistan, we could get, other different countries where they have a lot of it. You'd be really surprised on some of the problems that some of these countries are facing.
Yeah, got it. So I think that's a very good idea you have there. We are blending synchronous and asynchronous projects so that we can reach out to more countries around the world and also more students and teachers who are either still schooling, taking the online classes from home, and ones that can still make it to school. So we're now taking care of everybody, right?
Yeah, because you don't really know. I mean, I think Australia went down again about a week or so ago.
Oh, no.
And Anthony's telling me in Vietnam, they're going to probably be virtual for the rest of this year.
Yeah, I just got his mail too. He forwarded that to looped us both in.
So, I mean, I try to make it to where if you can't do stuff like this, we can do it asynchronously. And I either going to try to do this with the Flipgrid for, we're going to put this up on for food for thought too, so people can send in, because there's a lot of people want to do it, but they're either having a difficulty getting on, or their powers doesn't come on the whole time. And that's another thing for sustainability. We have some countries right now that they only have power certain hours of the day.
Yeah, that is a problem. Okay, so Mr. Cunningham, we're going to sign off now because I think that's all for today, right? And also, I think it would be maybe it would be a good idea to edit today's session into 3 parts because they are different, right? The first one is food for thought, bread and sandwiches. The second one is about COVID-19 and its impact. And the third one is on sustainable goals, sustainable development goals 11 and 12. So what do you think? And then you can, and then you can send me the upload the file so that Brian can also have editing access.
Yeah. In fact, you can download the Facebook in just a second.
Okay.
And I'll send you the other stuff, okay?
Yeah, if you can send me a little bit, I think the Facebook sort of how do you say it, compacts it, and the definition is not as good. It's not high definition.
But I've had real good luck on editing the Facebook. I'll talk to you later off. Okay.
Okay,
Talk to you later.
thank you. And
Bye.
I'm gonna dismiss the students in a while.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr.
Okay,
Cunningham.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.